half the time it doesn't work from up here, so I just,
So it's also live.
we're live, yeah.
Hopefully see
There's 7 people watching.
It's great to see work. And I'm gonna do that. Say how much time I have on the
It's, I don't think it's working. Do you want?
I tried it and they didn't come on.
We're hitting around.
I clicked it on and off a bunch of times.
I don't know.
Extra bright. All right, everybody, it's 7:00. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. I got something very, very hard to say. I know how the rumors fly around Henderson. But as of the 30th of this month, I'm resigning as your town supervisor. Rather than debate all this with the board and which all out there, Cal has agreed to go ahead and read my resignation letter. After that is read, I'm going to exit. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and perform the meeting. You've been doing very good at it. The reason why I'm staying to the 30th is to help the transition. So go ahead, Carol, please.
To Henderson Town Board and taxpayers, it's unfortunate that I'm giving my notice of resignation for my position as town supervisor effective August 30th, 2024. This was not an easy decision, but unfortunately a decision I must make for the well-being of myself. I've always been dedicated to the position that I was elected to with the best of my ability. While serving as your town supervisor, I've always had the best interests of the town taxpayers by trying to move the town forward for a better future. I must admit that during my time serving the town, making decisions have not always been the easiest. There are several factors of this position that no training is provided, but you do your best to trust those around you that have more experience in making the small and large decisions that will benefit the taxpayers. Since January 2024, I feel as if I really had no authority or trust from others to act as your town supervisor from the individuals I've been elected to support and keep in check my position. I know that no person is perfect and we all can make mistakes or wrong decisions. With that said, I believe in working together to fix errors and making future decisions. For me, I do not feel that this is happening with the town's elected officials. Decisions are being made without my input, without knowledge, and without being presented at board meetings for approval. As well, fingers are being pointed to others and degrading statements or conversations are being had about individuals, which ultimately has made employees of the town resign. I ask where the support and cohesiveness of individuals working together for the benefit of the town of Henderson has gone. Unfortunately, throughout 2024, if an individual is not performing their position as required or expected, the current elected officials are not only calling them out, but are placing aggressive demands of what they want without any consideration of the individual that the demands are being made of. Rather than working together to solve issues and assist each other, it's become an environment of stress, aggressiveness, and control. I cannot and do not want to work in this type of environment. Sincerely, Edwin Glacier.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
As I said, I'm not here to try to prolong the meeting. I would just like to thank, everybody for letting me be the town supervisor. This is going on a little past 11 years already. They say behind every good man, there's a good woman. Dory is my good woman, but I've also been very fortunate. I've had Carol, Wendy, and Hannah to help me along the way. That's all I got to say, guys.
Thank you.
So me?
So
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can.
did Carol leave?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think under normal circumstances, Carol would run the meeting as the deputy supervisor. She left. So what we've done in the past in Ed's absence or in Carol's absence is nominate someone to run the meeting. Dave has always been that person. I'm not gonna nominate him because he's not here. Do you want to do it? Do you
I'll
want?
nominate you.
I don't want to do it.
Why?
I'll
Do
do
I do
it.
it? All right.
No, please, Matt, or Tori, please want to step up and do it, please.
Okay, if it makes you feel better, I will do it. I'm gonna struggle a little bit at it, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
If you guys are okay with that, I
Yeah,
mean, I
I'm
guess,
good with
okay. So the first thing I wanna do is, I guess, that was news to me, right? So I just wanna say thanks to Ed. I mean, he's gone, but, that was 11 years of hard work. And I think he deserves, a lot of credit for a lot of things that have happened. And so he'll be missed, by us. With that, I guess, okay.
So, we're gonna do the public hearing for local law 22. It was posted on the
So
website.
maybe Carol's gonna,
Oh, is she there?
are you gonna act as deputy tonight? And,
No, I'm not.
okay,
Okay.
alright.
It's a.
So we need to do the, public comment.
Okay,
So is there any public comments on the change to local law 22? I can explain it if all have
why don't you
read it.
give a summary on that?
Sure, so it's to add a nepotism clause to our code of ethics. So we are defining nepotism as he or she shall not participate in any decision to hire, promote, discipline, or discharge a relative. He or she shall not directly or indirectly supervise a relative or participate in a vote which would award a contract or invest state funds in a business in which a relative has an interest. And Wendy, there's a definition of relative that I added too that didn't get into the resolution, which I have a copy of that for you. So the definition of a relative is defined as a person living in the same household as the officer or employee of the town of Henderson, or any person who is a direct descendant of the town of Henderson officer or employee. So any public comment on that?
What's the problem? Why are you doing it?
Doing that because nepotism, as many of you know, probably in the workforce, causes favoritism, employee dissatisfaction, poor leadership, career path obstacles, all sorts of things like that.
But where have we had those problems here?
I'm not at liberty to say.
But you stepped in a lane that, you opened that door and that
Well,
department has a union, so if there's issues or concerns, why didn't it take it to the union?
Yeah, so personnel matters like that, we're not allowed to discuss.
I didn't ask you to discuss them, I
Yeah.
said, why wasn't the union addressed? It's a union, they have a union shop, they have a union steward, so if there's issues or concerns, it goes to the union, not through you guys are not the employee.
It actually depends on the condition, whether that happens or not, but in this case, it's very standard to have a nepotism clause in a code of ethics, and it's actually shocking that we don't have one.
it was researched, for what it's worth, it was researched and, recommended at a high state level in terms of putting it in the code of ethics, both from research at the state level and also with our attorney.
With our town attorney
Yeah.
or the new town attorney that you hired.
No, our town attorney. Just for clarification, the new attorney is only working on Association Island matters.
I can make a public comment as a HR manager for
Sure.
over 40 years. It's just good practice to have an anti-nepotism rule. I just think it's a good idea in any organization.
Any other comments?
So yeah, this is only, again, we're gonna have public comments on old business after, but this is just specifically on that law. Anything else?
Okay, so I'll read the
I'll,
resolution. Oh, do you need to-
no, let's
Okay.
hold that, but I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Yes, yes, all yeses. That should be further down, but I don't see it, but we'll end.
Okay.
Public comments on old business. Do you have anything? Go ahead, Sally.
Of course I do. I have been the last several weeks trying to track down the RFP that Dymo said was presented at the beginning of the project. They weren't just handed to them. gone through some hoops and been stonewalled along the way. But I did get an email from Dave, I think it was about a week ago. And he said, an email from GYMO came and said that it had been resolved with me. They researched and located additional data and reviewed with the town resident that was inquiring, which was me. I never heard from anybody about anything. So I told Dave that. Dave had reached out to see, find out what my thoughts were about this. And I said, well, no, I haven't spoken to anyone about it. And he said the quote was from an email from GYMO, and subsequent in the email string was something from the town clerk that did not say the same thing. So I'm trying to find out who sent the email, who claimed they spoke to me,
So,
what Wendy said that,
yeah, I'm not sure, and I certainly am not gonna speak for Dave. My limited understanding, and Pat, if you think I'm saying something off or want to jump in, by all means, feel free, was that based on state or our own procurement, but kind of general practice for procurement policies, the engineering is considered professional service, so it
yeah,
doesn't.
I'm beyond that. I
Right.
got that explanation, I understand it, that's,
So there's no RFP. Just like I said.
that's kind of what you said. You said you emailed GYMO asking them to look for their copy.
On your FOIL request, there's no document here, there's no RFP.
You said you couldn't find it.
Yeah,
You
and
didn't say,
IMO doesn't.
so
have
what did
needed, so
you,
there's no RFP.
in the
So I think
subsequent email, what was it that you said that counteracted what GYMO said?
So I think what you're saying, Wendy, is there isn't an RFP, so.
Correct.
I mean,
Yeah, and
you-
I'm not sure
spoken to
that,
me, right? Is that?
right, so
your
so,
FOIL request
So I
is
know.
satisfied.
So, that being said, being accepted, I understand that. I want to know who in GYMO said they spoke to me about it.
That's not my email that she quoted. I never said that to Dave.
I'm not saying you did, I want to know
Well,
who did.
nobody else from GYMO would have done that. I
That's
did
Dave, that's
email
what Dave
Dave.
said.
I gave Dave some factual information about what happened in 2016, and that's what I thought he was passing
yeah.
along to you. That statement you read there,
So,
I have the email.
doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't want to speak for Dave, and he's not here
No, no.
unfortunately, so I just don't know, I mean,
I'm curious I'm asking Wendy, it said in the email string, there was something from the town clerk
This is what he's.
that did not say the same thing, that someone had spoken to me. So I'm asking Wendy, what did you say that contradicted what GYMO says happened?
so, I mean, I just, in the interest of time, I think we'll move along. Wendy,
Well, I think the summary is there isn't an RFP.
Correct.
right, so,
There isn't an RFP. I think what Dave, the research is, by law, it's not required by New York State, but obviously it's preferred
Right.
because we want to have
Right.
a competitive process.
Yes, I don't want to waste time talking about that.
but
I keep putting out there, who talked to me? Somebody claimed they spoke to me about it.
I don't think if Dave said that, we're not gonna be able to find out till he comes.
let's,
back.
if you're okay with waiting until Dave
Yeah.
is
Well,
here,
that's why I thought Wendy could enlighten me.
I'd rather just get it from Dave. There might be some miscommunication. I think there probably is, but Dave will be the answer for that. It's really easy to say that because he's not here. But,
All right.
and I'll make it a note.
Memories go, And
Sorry, what's that?
I said people's memories go. The email that came through today, it said that people's recollections were erroneous, both on the board's part and on GYMO's part.
I do want to say something to that effect. Maybe the board did not go through the typical RFP, request for proposal process. They did a RFQ, request for qualifications, and this was after they had worked with numerous engineers. So they felt that, well, let's see the qualifications of this engineer being GYMO. And then once they attained a comfort level, then they asked us for a proposal to do the engineering study back in 2016. So the town did do due diligence over and above what needed to be done to help guide them
Okay.
towards selecting an engineer.
Well, I'll just read the last paragraph that I got from Dave. Any statements at meetings by various town officials or GYMO were based upon recollections and research and has determined that the recollections were inaccurate.
Yeah, and I think, and look at that, I might have said it too, like, I would have just assumed that there would have been a more, what I would call a traditional RFP process,
2016.
but I wasn't on the board, and I think at this point,
I think it
you
was
were-
back in 2016
Yeah, so-
or something of that nature.
so we're at
John
8 years,
Culkin was
and
the supervisor. It was a long time ago, so yeah, we can.
If someone
share
misspoke,
recollections with-
I'll apologize on their behalf, but I think let's just wait and chat with Dave. I already wrote a note, and we'll see,
Maybe Wendy can sit in on that with Dave and I and
I'll leave that to you guys. Any other, comments?
Every month for months now, Dave has asked for detailed invoicing, the breakdowns from GIMO. Haven't been provided from what I understand, but they're still being,
So we, as recently, I don't know what day we got it, so pretty detailed breakdown of hours and, tasks from the GIMO office. We get sent that directly. This past one, Pat, you can speak to it probably more detail than I can, but there was, I think it was 23,000-ish, in actual expenses.
And the
that
invoice amount,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. And I don't know his billing codes or his line items exactly, but it's spelled out on an hourly, kind of accrual. Within
okay,
that.
well, this month, before you get into paying the bills, there's a GIMO invoice for $38,368.
Yeah.
My understanding is at the last month's meeting, you approved $20,000 for GIMO until the end of July, $4,000 for Municipal Solutions till the end of July. So this
So-
$38,368 is over that?
The invoice for that, and correct me again if I'm wrong, but the invoice for that was for work performed in June.
It's June 1st to June 30th.
I forgot the
think it
date,
was,
yeah.
or the exact-
And, and then,
But we had a question on that when we get into the bill section.
it looks like so that work was done in June. We didn't, as a town, receive that bill in time. And Wendy, jump in if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we received that bill in time to pay to pay as part of the July abstract. It takes his office presumably a couple of days to.
And that one took longer than usual, like Lindsay said, it did go through June 30th. I think, no excuse, but if anybody wants to get paid, it would be us, of course. But I was focused on prepping for that July 10th meeting. I knew that was a big meeting. We had a July 2nd meeting in there as well. And my focus was try to prepare for those. And invoices were put in the backseat. That's why.
So the important thing I think is that the work itself was performed in advance of
The 24,000.
of that limit, of this board putting that limit.
So we have $24,000 coming in addition to this.
Correct.
Yeah, is it
It's not
that?
24.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I got a question on whether it's 23. We can get into it when we.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we pay the abstracts, but essentially you're right, Ginger.
Well, the spreadsheet with the figures on it, then it's gonna be well above that spreadsheet. We're up in a lot of money. And taxpayers are really fatigued with this. So here we are, we're going to have another bill again next month. I hope that's the end of it. And is there a charge for GIMO attending tonight's meeting?
No.
Just one other question, is there any cost data for the Henderson plow that does look very nice out front? But I had asked for the breakdown of the cost for that.
I'm not sure.
I know
Do you
Dave's
have any
not here,
information on
he's
that?
looking into it.
Yeah. I think Dave was gonna look at that. Do you know off the top of your head,
On the plow out front. Do you know the?
I've talked to a couple of the guys, I have not seen any invoices.
talking on behalf of everybody.
I know the painting was done by someone outside of the town, and I think it was $1,500. And then it was a sandblast company that came in to clean it up. I don't know what the cost was for that. And then they had the decals made for it. But I haven't seen the invoices for that. It was before my time, so.
Okay. Very, getting up to speed on things, so, we'll see. Dora, you had something?
Yes, I would like you to explain to us, the taxpayers, why we have spent $57,000
$748 to boroughs.
Sorry to what?
On what?
$57,000. 748.50 since June to the attorney. What is that for?
Is that to Kendall
No.
Walton and Burroughs or to?
Both.
Kendall is $36,070.
Okay, so that's to Lang, to Costello, Cooney and Fearon?
Can't be 57.
There's two, we, just for the public's benefit, we have a special counselor for whatever you want to call it. We've hired an outside attorney to represent us on the Article 78s for Association Island.
Well, and I think to add to that detail, so the town is getting sued as a result of residents are suing the town, thinking that the town did not follow proper procedure in the fall to approve the island project. So we have an attorney that's representing us for that lawsuit. So that's the cost
Yeah, so
there.
I don't know which number that goes with,
Yeah.
but if it's the Costello, Cooney and Fearon amount, that's in the
That's on the
defense,
island, I understand that.
that's the defense on the island.
I'm talking about Jim Burrow's office.
Okay, so that's the,
From June 11th to August 13th, $57,748.
so aside from some of the,
Contractual.
right, aside from some of the more mundane and legal business stuff that like local laws and things like that we're always contracted for, we've retained their services. I just want to be careful like how I say this because a lot of it was done in executive session, but we've retained their services on personnel matters and they've done investigations.
$21,000 in August?
Yeah, that's lawyers are.
$18,000 in June? I think we have a right to know what we're paying for.
I don't know what more, and I wish one of them were here, and I'll ask about that a little bit more because I'm just a little leery on getting into a lot of it. because
We've
it's-
actually asked the attorney what we can say.
Yeah,
They've
and
said we
it's-
can't say.
can't
You
say
don't need to
anything.
say anything, but you can get a breakdown the same thing. You can get
Oh,
a breakdown, they.
We have that, yeah,
So
no,
that breakdown's gonna tell you who they talked to, how many minutes, who.
yeah, we have all that. And I
That's
just,
what we're asking.
well, but the nature of it is personnel related, who they talked to, what they did, what the nature of
But you
those
could just
conversations.
say communication with X, so many minutes at $1.
You're saying
allowed to
take
do
it out,
that.
like,
You're not giving any
redact it, you're
indication of
saying?
what it's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. I'm gonna follow up with the attorney on that because I don't know. And I'm just,
Take that.
there's personnel,
We'll know what
yeah,
they're allowed to put in, but the point is, we have a right to know, it's a lot of money.
it's a tremendous amount of
It's a
money.
tremendous amount of money, and every time you pick up a phone and talk to the lawyer,
You're spending.
you're spending money.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like there's a lot of phone picking up, where there was something in place to help minimize that, to make
Well,
sure that the calls were.
There haven't been the situations that we've had recently.
Robert's rules, talking to Matt.
I can assure you that the product of this work that has been done is thorough and extensive. Yeah, I think the $250 an hour, whatever it is, right? So you're paying for that, but I can assure you that it's not something that I think was done flippantly or anything by their firm. It was thorough.
And it took a lot of time and effort by them to complete and was done in an effort to minimize risk to the town.
Anything else, Dory? Anything else?
No, I just feel like this is gonna raise our taxes. Are our taxes going up?
We're not into budget season yet, but I certainly hope not. I'm not gonna do anything to make them do that, so.
We just keep spending. You people keep spending more and more of our money.
Any other questions for old business? Comments, I should say. This is supposed to be comments, not questions. Anything else? I hope somebody does because we gotta go on to the next thing and I'm not sure how to. All right,
So it'd be July.
so the
11th.
July 9th minutes, can I have a motion to accept those as written?
I'll make the motion to accept.
I'll
those.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes,
Yes. July 10th,
I'll make the motion to accept the
Second.
minutes.
all in favor?
Yes.
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 And the 23rd, that was our special meeting, nothing really happened. Yep. Good?
Good.
Yep.
Yep.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Bear with me one second so I can Oh, the amounts are there. So the next thing we're gonna is pay the bills. Abstract number 8, vouchers 24,000,472 through 24,00549 for $156,000, $156,825.48. Are there any questions on that before we get into it? Yep.
If you look on page 3, excuse me, of my monthly report that was submitted today, there were 4 vouchers that we indicated were applied to the wrong accounts, they applied to highway accounts, and they were done in error. I don't know how you handle that, you pay them and adjust it later, or I'm not quite.
They need to go to the recycling, right? Is that
Water, I think, was,
the water?
I think all of them must be recycling or water.
okay. What were those, do you remember what those were off the top of your
We
head?
have vouchers 480, excuse me, 492, 538, and 540.
Yeah, but no, I see that in the report, but do you know what, I mean,
What they were for.
yeah,
It was items that we did not purchase.
okay. I will, Wendy, what do we normally do? Can Donna make that adjustment after?
So you pay them anyway, you just adjust it after.
Just to the different account.
Okay, I will make a note to contact Donna on that. I got a lot of notes. I have a motion to pay vouchers number 8 though, or abstract number 8, sorry.
Didn't you say you had a question, Lizzie, on the bill?
I have a question on the August 8th invoice. I don't know if we want to hit that. That's not part of this abstract though. Well, I guess the question there is, are we behind then again? Like, and I could be wrong, but shouldn't we be paying your July bill now? Not your June bill? Like, what I'm worried about is we're getting behind again.
There's 2 invoices in front of you. One I know is dated August 8th.
That's
The other
this
one is
one.
probably July.
10, I think it was.
Okay.
That's,
Those are the only 2, I believe, that are outstanding.
okay, so,
And that's just
I wanna
because
do
you,
the
like I
math.
said, you got them after the time.
Yeah, but that's not part of the abstract, I don't think. Right,
so
Wendy?
the abstract is the June, I don't know what this says.
Bills are there, I don't know.
You sent it to me. Hold on. I got it.
I
So
don't,
there's the
No, I'll just
38,368 is June 2nd to June 29th. And then June 2nd to June 29th. And then the one I have here is June 30th to August 3rd. So I guess where I'm confused, and maybe Wendy, maybe I'm just wrong, is that normal that bill would be in this abstract or is it late?
That's when it comes in.
well, yeah, he said,
It's my fault.
he didn't
Okay.
get us to us in
Yeah, I
time.
didn't get it to you in time.
Okay,
Yeah, it was dated the 10th, and I think we met on the 10th.
Yeah.
Or the 11th.
so so that 38,368 is in that abstract that we need to approve. And then I think I kind of want to go through the stuff you sent us because I was confused a little bit on that too. And I don't know if we want to do that now.
But I don't think that's part of this abstract.
I agree.
So let's pay the bills.
Okay.
And then we can talk about that later.
Sure.
So can I have a motion to pay abstract number 8?
I'll make the motion to pay abstract number 8.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Next is a supervisor's report.
You just asked if there's any questions.
Any questions?
For us, for us.
Oh, do you guys have any questions? Well, you too. I
I looked at it. It looks
That
fine.
looks fine.
okay, make a motion to accept the supervisor's report.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, finally, something easy. Jerry,
Very.
go ahead.
Town of Henderson board members, in case you don't know me, I'm Jerry Tackley. I'm also director on the Rotary Center Food Pantry in Adams, New York. And I come here always once a year to say thank you for our support for our food pantry and give you an update of what we're doing and what we've done. I gave you a packet in front of it just to show you some of our facts. Poverty rate in Jefferson County is 14.2%. 34% of the people we serve are 18 or younger, and 10% of our people we serve are seniors. Okay, that's just the people area. Programs, of course, is our food pantry, that is definitely income driven. We do a fresh foods distribution the fourth Friday of every month at St. Cecilia's parking lot. Once again, if you eat, you qualify. Right now, we're servicing almost 200 families in a 4-hour period. We do a food sense, and I threw a flyer in here for you. This might pertain to this month, but this is open to everybody. This is a tremendous opportunity for people to save on their grocery bills. For $20.50, you can buy a unit, which equates to almost $50 if you went to a grocery store to buy, and it's top quality all the way through. If you don't want to buy a unit, you can just buy specials, and they're equally as good. Nothing. I bring them to my house every month. I buy some. Great program. We offer a diaper co-op for mothers. Can down to be 10 cents or less for diapers, so that's a big savings for them. Once again, for every dollar that you contribute to us, we can go to food bank and we can turn that into $10.50 worth of buying power for us. So that's so critical of what you do for us. Our summer lunch bag program, we gave away this year 173 summer lunch bag programs. So that's a big part of us. We're open we're open Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday nights till 7 o'clock. We're closed Wednesday. We're open Thursday and Friday up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're open there 24 hours if anybody really needs food. Most importantly, and I can't say this enough, we have one paid employee, our part-time manager, but we had 2,752 hours donated by some people in our township. I'm sure some are sitting here right now. And I can't say enough of how much that means to us, because we couldn't even begin to do these programs without those volunteer people. Very, very important. We serve 9 towns. Once again, Henderson is our 4th largest town we serve. And our whole budget, we serve 90% of our whole budget went to Henderson last year. It cost us $11,070 to serve the clients in this township alone. Our total budget we run is $124,305 a year to keep us running. So you can see, and we do this, once again, from the township standpoint, helping you help your people. And I think anytime you go back to the taxpayers and say you spent $1 of taxpayer money for $10.50, that's an easy sell anywhere. And once again, I just want to bring you up to date on everything we've done. Any questions, don't ever hesitate to call me or call the office, but keep us in a budget, please.
Do you, I know a couple years ago you shocked us all and asked for less money, but do you have an idea of what you want for this year? Donna's starting
It's an
to.
awful loaded question.
Well, Donna's starting that.
A couple of years ago, I went and I said, because we were in COVID at that time, and there was a situation for everybody. I said to all the townships, I said, if you want to decrease your inventory or your money to us, it's understanding. But anytime you want to, last year was like $1,500 you gave us. So anytime you want to increase it, we
Okay.
certainly won't refuse it. But
Okay.
you can see what it takes for us to operate, okay? Just one bit of trivia I had here also. In your packet there I gave you from the food bank for 2023, we distributed 55,971 pounds of food. So that goes to show you the volume that we do, all right? Once again, I'm sure I got people in the audience here. When I give them a call on a Friday morning, I got a Friday morning trucker roadie, they're there. And it goes on and on and on. But I just want to make sure we keep an open line. You know what's going on. There's people in your community that really need it. They're not there because they want to be there, believe me. I've had people come back to me many, many times say, we lost our jobs. We got medical situations. It just got us over the hump. Thank you. That's very
Thank you.
important.
No, thank you. And every time you come here, it's kind of a moving and sobering presentation. So I
Well,
can't thank you enough.
You can't ignore it. I mean, it could be your neighbor. They're not going to wave a flag and say, I've been there. But it's just so important. One thing I want to say that we're very proud of, Six Town Chamber of Commerce this year awarded us the not-for-profit award for the year, which I were very proud of.
Congratulations.
Once again, I'm just a little smoke on the wheel. believe me.
Understood, but we appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should do, give me the highway.
Yeah. So on our agendas next, we have our monthly reports and it's listed as water, and planning. Dave was working on some stuff for water and I apologize. I just don't have much for you there. But, Gary's here and I think he has some stuff. Do you want to chat about that briefly and then we'll talk about planning?
The first thing is
Just real quick, because for those of you that don't know, Gary's the new highway superintendent. So
interim.
Interim, new interim.
The first thing that is on my report is the resolution approved tonight, passed tonight, purchase of a new plow truck with a plow. It's been kicking around, it's a $289,599 purchase. It's split between the truck is $164,921 and the plow package is $124,678. We were given the authority to go ahead and place the order, but it can't be processed until we have board approval. Now, mind you, it's a big number, but the wait time is anywhere from 18 to 24 months. So we have to get our order in. We expect to get a truck in the next 2 years. And we're trying to continue the cycle of replacing the oldest, worst one when we get the new ones and just surplusing it. So do you have a copy of that resolution?
I do.
I just-
Yeah, I have it here, so.
I'd ask the board if you could move on that resolution so we can present that to the vendor tomorrow.
Yep.
And
And,
Donna,
sorry, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Donna emailed already. There's an email that she's allocating money
Yeah.
over time for this.
And we don't pay, right, until we take delivery, so
Yeah.
we still have a little bit of time even more to accrue that, so. Wendy, do you know what the resolution number would be for this?
44.
44. So I'll make resolution, introduce resolution number 2024-08-13-44, and I'll just read this aloud briefly so everyone has the benefit of it. Whereas the highway department projects the need for a replacement truck and plow system to maintain winter plowing capability, whereas there is an approximately 24-month lead time for delivery of new heavy equipment, whereas no financing will be required and payment to will not be necessary until delivery of the truck to the town of Henderson, New York, whereas ordering procedures for Jefferson, let's say town of Henderson contracts require resolution from the town board. Let's strike that. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Henderson wishes to purchase the Navistar, is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually an international.
International. Are those prices right?
Yeah, starts.
And Navistar is the company.
Okay,
It's an international, I have all the letters and numbers if you want it.
okay. No, I try to take your word for it. And there's some numbers and letters here on this 2025 unit, but the chassis is 164,921 and the plow package is 124,678. Will somebody introduce that?
I'll introduce. Make a motion. Have somebody second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, there you go, Gary. Anything else?
At the board's pleasure, I got 3.5 pages worth of information on my report. You can make it available to somebody if they want it, if you just want to go through.
Are there any highlights you want to hit?
Well, in the equipment line, I just want everybody to realize that back on January, let's see if I can find it here. I wrote so much stuff I can't find it myself. Back in January, we signed a purchase order for a cat loader from Milton Cat. That was on January 4th. And the price on the loader was $198,243. And they've given us a trade allowance of $150,000 on our Volvo L60H loader, which leaves a balance due upon receipt of the invoice of $48,423. I found a note in the file that shows that on March 12th, 2024, American Rescue Plan funds were approved to cover this balance. The new loader is scheduled to be delivered next month, and I'm looking for confirmation that the funds are available.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's been a change. I couldn't find anything in the budget that reflected that. But again, I really haven't had the chance to speak with Donna at length about any of this.
Okay. Oh, is that something you want me to do, or do you want to try to reach out to her? I know she's traveling this week,
Well,
but
that's the problem. I couldn't talk with her. She's traveling, so
okay.
it doesn't matter who does it. I just want to make sure the money's
Okay.
there when the.
Let's talk, we'll connect on that tomorrow, one way or another.
And she's been, if you want to email, she's been really responsive on email. If you wanted to shoot her an email.
there's a whole lot of things in here.
Can I just get a quick update on the MEO position? You've got the,
We put an ad in, I think it was the 6th through the 9th, if I'm not mistaken, for MEOs, the 6th through the 9th of August. And it's posted on several websites. We've had several applications. However, until we can establish a procedure for doing criminal background checks and obtaining abstracts of people's driving records, I'm not going to start the process of doing the interviews. I've been working with our attorney to come up with a procedure in a company. You have to go through a private company to do these background checks. Police departments can't do it anymore. So I got calls in today and I've been talking with the attorney. Probably in the next couple of days, we'll have that procedure in place. Then we can go ahead and start the interview process. So we are working on it, and we've had some success with applicants.
Okay. Like you said, 3 pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be discussed in the interview, but it's information for the board. It's the public is welcome to it as well. But it take me 15 minutes.
Can you send a digital copy of the? I
you have to
guess.
say I can upload it to the
Yeah, we
website.
should
You want
probably.
to email me a copy of it and I can put it up on the website so everybody can see it?
And then I apologize because I only skimmed it this afternoon. So I only skimmed it this afternoon, so I will.
I apologize. I tried to get it out quick enough to get it. Everybody said you have time to read it, but I just got a lot of the information late today, so.
No, and I understand. But it's appreciated and we know how to get in touch with you. If there's more questions. Anything else before we go on to planning, Gary?
No, I think the rest of it is just stuff that we're just gonna have to deal with.
Okay. Ken, we'll go to planning now.
Afternoon or evening. I apologize for using the attorney. I'd like to give you this map. We've been working on zoning changes or possible zoning changes that we'd
These are
like the town
copies, right,
board
that you gave?
to take a look at.
Yeah.
Yes.
The cover is the question I asked the attorney. Second page is his response. And the other pages are a couple laws we think should be looked at, okay? I would hopefully request that the board maybe would set up a workshop with the planning board so we could actually explain what we're doing and why the changes, okay, instead of doing it here at the meeting. It's a bit lengthy. Other than that, second thing we've been looking at would
Well,
be,
on that, do you want, we've got the 10th and the 11th. We could do the 11th
September?
of
Okay.
September
Yeah.
to have you guys come in and,
Would that be, I mean, I remember this question, just for the public's benefit, there was a question at one point based on, I don't know, discrepancies, I guess, for lack of a better word.
ambiguous specification, zoning laws. One zoning law said one thing, one was in direct conflict of it, okay?
So
So we asked the attorney, if you don't mind.
no, by all means,
We asked the
please.
attorney the question, his response was that was a perfect example of ambiguous zoning laws. And that the town or the planning board should look at it, highlight recommendations to the town board of possible changes. So that's where we're at. So just so everybody knows.
Yeah, and no, I appreciate that. So you guys have been kind of navigating, identifying some of those
We've been
ambiguities,
trying to
right?
identify some. We've looked at a lot of them. It's a short list of pretty much of the ones that we think are really important that need to be looked at. There's some more. We looked at nothing in solar because you guys were changing that, so we totally ignored it. Something to come up was Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
that came up in here a little while ago.
Well,
too.
we've come up for one of our
Okay.
meetings too, and partially because of a pre-submittal conference with a person that wanted to open a bed and breakfast, okay? So we got kind of looking at the Airbnbs and kind of feel that the Airbnbs would fall under bed and breakfasts with just the description that we use in our definitions for bread and breakfasts, okay?
Yeah.
So, but some more I think that we really need to touch on, which we could do in the workshop.
Do you guys want to see if September 11th works for you?
I can see it works for me, but I can't speak for everybody else.
Okay. Let's plan on that then,
Okay?
and we'll use that as an opportunity to dive in a little deeper into some of these things. Are you okay with that approach?
That was just to give you guys an idea of, of what we think that they should look like. So I included the sections and
No, I appreciate that.
some rewording, whatever, but
Okay.
Awesome. Thank
you
you.
also have, and I'm going to ask for this, is a standardized format for monthly reporting? Or you don't have it yet?
We don't,
We don't.
well, so I think, this is a good question and talk about ambiguity a little bit here, I guess, but in one sense, it would be nice from our board's point of view, I think, to understand a little bit more about what the planning board is doing, but Mary also has the minutes, right? So that in
Right.
one sense covers a lot of what the planning board has going on a monthly basis. This thing is unique, right?
This is unique,
this is more unique. So at least from my point of view, I want to know more about these types of things. I can read the minutes from Mary. What I don't know is what you guys are thinking. What are the pressure points? What are the problems you're identifying? Let's think 5 months, 5 years and down the road. And what are you identifying? And we don't need to have that conversation every month.
Tonight, right. Yeah, no, every month,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right.
But it's good to have that line of communication open because this is a perfect example, right? Like you're struggling with some of these ambiguities. We're the only ones that can
Change.
fix that,
Right,
right?
right.
So let's
And
start
it
that
doesn't have to be
dialogue.
anything super formal. Like, this is fine. I can read this. I can see what you're doing.
Well, there's a few others that we kind of threw back and forth, but really couldn't come to an agreement as a board, a unanimous agreement, let's put it that way.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay?
Okay.
So,
Jim,
I have an unrelated, do you know if the next site plan has anything related to landscaping
I
requirements?
do not. That would be more of a question for the zoning officer.
Okay. I
And
emailed you
maybe,
yesterday.
He could look back to see if they did a property maintenance proposal, okay? Because it probably should have been included. I'm not sure what the zoning laws were at the time when they did it, if it was a requirement or not. It is now, but
Right.
I don't know if it was then. And I wasn't on the planning board then, so.
Okay. Just curious. That's later on, but I emailed you on that yesterday.
Questions?
No?
thank
Do you have any
you.
other questions for us?
I do not,
Okay.
okay,
Let us
thank
know
you.
about the 11th.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Hey, Matt, can we go back to one thing I forgot that is important. We need to discuss adjusting 284 report,
Okay.
or 284 agreement.
Yep.
And for those that don't know, the 284 agreement is an agreement between Highway Department and the town board as to what roads are gonna be repaired during the course of the year and how much money is gonna be spent and allocated. There has to be an agreement. Obviously, we can't do it with the funds. So the 284 agreement that's in effect right now, we found out, has a road on it that has had CHIPS work done within the last,
Excuse me one second, Mark. Do me a favor and just touch that screen and then hit not in this session, yeah? Thank you.
the 284 agreement that exists contains a road that has had CHIPS work done during the last 10 years, which makes it ineligible for
Oh,
funding now.
okay.
So tomorrow, actually, we finished all the shoulder work on Ailes, and then tomorrow, the soup coat company will be in, and they're gonna do the chip seal on Ailes Road and on the portion of Brody Road that is eligible. However, we've got to fill in some of the gaps. We're currently looking at Schoolhouse Road from Military Road to Snowshoe Road, and then Town Darn Road from State Route 178 to County Route 152. These are both options that we're taking a look at to evaluate to see how much it's gonna take, if, we'll have adequate funding for that. So by the next meeting, I'll have all those numbers and I'll draft an amended 284 agreement to present to the board, so we can go ahead with that.
So was it a portion of Brody Road or something that's ineligible?
From Dunbar, from State Route 3 up to Dunbar Road on Brody, we did work there, I forgot what year it was, 7, 8 years ago. So it's in that 10-year look back, so it's not eligible.
Okay,
But from Dunbar up to Penny
Penny.
Road, which is Route 7, State or County Route 71,
that is,
that is eligible, and that's gonna be done tomorrow.
okay,
So
okay.
those other the other routes.
So your goal, I think, is, or what you're saying is you're trying to find something approximately the same value
You know,
to,
we don't want to overspend what our allocation is from CHIPS,
Yeah.
but we don't want to underspend it either.
okay.
So you guys would have that ready in September probably.
Is that enough time?
Next couple of days, we just found out.
Is that enough time to make it happen in this year? I mean, I know that money kind of evaporates, right, if we don't spend it during this.
Well, unfortunately, there have been no requests for CHIPS funding submitted at all this year in 2024. We missed the first two cycles, but I talked to Jared Radley, I think his name is, at New York State DOT in Watertown, and he assured me that he will allow us to submit all of the work that we've done in 24 up to today and including what we submit.
Okay.
So we're not gonna miss out on it,
Okay.
but it could have been 10
Who-
years.
Who owns submitting that CHIPS request? Who owns submitting that?
I guess I do, or whoever the highway supervisor is,
Signing that,
superintendent.
signing that form.
Okay, so we didn't do it this year.
And another thing that I wanted to bring up too, I submitted yesterday an invoice to the county for $12,425 for reimbursement for work that we've done on county routes in the town over the last several months, because there haven't been any submissions to the county for 3 months or 4 months as well.
So that's a revenue you're saying we should anticipate
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I appreciate that. We could use all we can get.
Yeah, thank you and thank you. You guys deserve applause, actually. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, we're having to recreate all that documentation. It doesn't exist. It's, you know, there's little here, little there, and a lot of recollection and digging around, but you know, we've been able to put together a good chunk of it, so.
Okay, well, it's appreciated. I'm sure it's a lot of work to.
Yeah, that big guy there, Ivan, it's a good thing he's got broad shoulders.
I had to move my chair further away.
I saw you.
Well, and for what it's worth, every time I talk to Gary, he mentions Al, so thank you, you know, so
Thank
it's
you
really,
for,
it is
seriously,
appreciated.
you've
So,
been doing an awesome job.
thank you. Okay, I've got buried in paperwork here, so let me find my.
Do we, so the resolution for nepotism isn't on.
For the- yeah, so we can do that. Let's just push that a little bit towards the end.
That's
because
fine.
There's a lot of people here, I'm sure
All
that,
right, you wanna leave?
yeah, myself included. Sorry. Okay, so I think that is good for the, monthly reports. We'll go to the sewer district expert panel report, Mark and Roy. So I don't know how you guys, if you wanna,
Do we wanna explain briefly the sewer plan quick, just to make sure everybody knows what that is?
sure,
Just call it a panel.
yeah, I feel weird using experts. in
Well, I
front
think,
of-
let's make sure, so we're actively pursuing the path to get additional funding with GYMO and keep going down the path that we've been going. And so GYMO is working diligently to continue down that path, but from the statistic, and I don't know where we got this from, is it's 50-50 whether we're gonna get the funding, if it was one of your guys that said it, that we're gonna get the funding needed at the end of December to continue the current path. So we've asked some experts, right, in Henderson who are really good with this stuff to look and say, are there other options out there if the path that's the 50-50 path doesn't work out for us? We've got other choices and other avenues to go down to continue the sewer project. So that's the intent of this panel. And I want to say they're working for free, putting in a ton of hours to help us. So greatly appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
And I just want to jump in there a little bit too. You know, I'm not sure if there's a misconceptions or misunderstanding, and I certainly can't speak for anyone else on the board. And this is in no way meant to diminish the three guys I know that are in here and the other ones that are working on this, but I really view this as an in case of, not an instead of, right? So that being in case we don't get the money, not instead of. Regardless of what happens, you know, it's not an instead of, it's in case. This is a backup plan. This, you know, I just don't like sitting around waiting for a coin flip, essentially. Let's be prepared for any eventualities. And so,
And use the expertise we have in our community to help us.
absolutely, yeah. We've obviously gone pretty far down a path with GYMO, and I think they've gotten us very close. It's just hopefully that Albany comes through at this point. So I don't, well, I'm not gonna be a referee here, but I just don't want there to be too much animosity. I think at the end of the day, we're all working towards a common goal of getting the harbor cleaned up ultimately. I don't know how many people looked at it today, but it was pretty green. I know there's a lot of that algae blooms and stuff like that around and stuff. So it's just, I bring that up because,
And the beach is closed.
the beaches have been on and
Yeah,
off
it's been
closed. I
closed
mean, there's
frequently too.
just been a lot of that runoff, but, and look I'm not a wastewater engineer by any stretch, but I know anything we can do will help, right? So, can we just hold comments till after the panel?
Okay.
Good presentation, and then because maybe they're gonna answer it. I don't know. So I don't know. Do you guys have a designated speaker or do you?
I think we both are.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Our own
We
expertise.
had different parts to speak on.
Okay,
Yeah, well, I
one
think,
makes sense, but to go in front of the other?
So, my explanation is, Roy will, introduce himself, but he's been looking more at the bids, the contract bids, because that's what he's done for his life. I've been looking more at the contract documents for construction. And Gary, has, taken a look at the contracts themselves, and we all have things to point out, all concerns, issues, things that we might wanna adjust.
Okay.
So with that, Roy, why don't you go first? I don't have any idea how long I'm gonna take.
My name is Roy Navick. I'm a resident here in town of Henderson. I have 2 lots. So I will be having 2 hookups. And I want to say from the beginning that I am in favor of, doing the sewer system. I'm not trying in any way to stop or impede progress on it. As far as my credentials go, I think it's important that you know where I've been, just so, it'll make some kind of sense when you hear what I have to say. Almost 30 years as a federal contracting officer, contract specialist with the National Park Service. Worked at Grand Canyon National Park, Yosemite National Park, Golden Gate National Recreation Area, Gateway National Recreation Area. I was the regional chief for the Intermountain region where I retired from, and I was the regional chief of contracting for the Western region prior to that. I also helped to lead and develop an acquisition management review process for the National Park Service, and reviewed offices such as the National Capital Region, Yellowstone National Park, Glacier National Park. So I've done a lot of contracts, I've done a lot of contract reviews, I've done a lot of fixing of contracts that other people have messed up on. Why I'm here now is because I came to a meeting a couple of weeks ago that was held out in the garage area. I observed a conversation taking place, and it, to me, in no way represented the type of conversation that should happen only months away from a contract award or breaking soil, beginning a construction project. I didn't hear any of the sort of dialogue that would indicate that we were at that point in the process. So at that point, I wrote a letter to each member of the board, and I said, here's my background. I'm really not looking for work, but I think I have something to offer here, and I see a gap. So federal contracting, all my experiences with federal contracts, governed by the federal acquisition regulations, a book about this thick that you always have to tear out and replace pages. Now it's online, but it's a lot of regulations. Every agency in the federal government is under the FAR. States, same kind of things. Every major company will have procurement regulations. And it's all about one thing. It's all about having a process that results in a fair and reasonable price that's transparent, that gets the end user or the taxpayer the best product for the money that they spend. Very important in any sort of a process like this is separation of function. And in my world, the contracting world, you've got engineers that develop the specifications, you've got contract specialists that put the solicitation together that results in a contract. You've got a contracting officer
who has authority to sign contracts by virtue of a warrant, a contracting officer's warrant. The level of the warrant is commensurate with experience and training. So a lot of training, a lot of experience goes into these, to the people who do this work. I was a little taken aback that, and I mean no offense to anyone, but I was taken aback when I saw that. And let me say, I'm not an engineer, I respect engineers, but I don't give engineers the contracting job. It's a separate function, and it needs to be a separate function. When the panel got together, I noticed that the main thing that was being talked about was we've got a $17 million estimate, and we've got bids coming in at $25 million. And the whole focus of the conversation, everybody else in the group, was, where do we get the extra money? How do we get another $7 million? And it was just a given that we're where we are, and let's go forward, let's get more money. In the way my brain works, the way I've been trained, the way I've done my job all these years, is like, wait a minute, how do you know you need that much more money? We've got to look at some things first and assess where we are. So I've got a bid abstract from the contractor, which showed the three firms that bid, and it didn't have an estimate, an independent cost estimate alongside it, which is necessary to do a price analysis. I believe the board members all have a copy of the document called Price Analysis and Recommendation on CAMO bid abstract. Seen this?
Yep.
So I have not even gone through the contract yet. The contract is hundreds of pages, and I probably am not going to go through the contract because already this has taken a lot of time to get this far. And it's really a full-time job that there's an empty chair here. But I'll just hit some topics. I highlighted my copy a little bit, and I'll just hit some of the topics here. A price analysis is a tool for validating the independent cost estimate upon which the project budget is based, validating the quality of the specification for purposes of mitigating post-award performance risk and determining that award at the prices that were bid would result in award at fair and reasonable prices. I didn't look at every item. There's over 70 bid items on the bid schedule. Instead, I took out the really large items, or the items that had some kind of a glaring flashing light when I glanced at them. And by looking at 7 or 8 items, I think I'm covering about 3/4 at least of the cost of the contract. First 2 items, mobilization and miscellaneous is one item, traffic control is another. They're listed as lump sum items, and the bidders are supposed to submit an amount not to exceed, and the not to exceed amounts are given of $480,000, $208,000 for the 2 items respectively. That's $688,000, 2/3 of a million. And I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen those items included as, usually mobilization, if it's a separate item, you don't give a maximum on it. And a lot of times mobilization is covered under other costs. It's the cost of it is spread out over other bid items. So everybody, all 3 bidders bid the maximums, 480, 480, 480, 208, 208, 208. I have no idea where the numbers came from. They're big round numbers, and big round numbers to me indicate that there's not a lot of calculation that goes into it. It quite often has some guesswork or some rounding at least. Items 3, 4, 5, and 6 are also very round numbers, and this is where the bulk of the work is. This is all 3/4 inch or 3-inch pipe, 6-inch pipe, 1.2-inch HPDE. And again, the unit prices are expressed in the estimate as round numbers. $50 a linear foot, $60 a linear foot, $70 a linear foot. When I see a round number, especially just repetitive, like jumping by $10 increments, I go, where's the calculations? And $50, $60, $70 by themselves are not big numbers dollar-wise, but they're unit prices. So now you multiply it by the entire linear feet in the job and they become very big numbers. For example, the first item there, the 4-inch pipe, from low bid to high bid, and there's only 3 bids here, range from 188,000 to 836,000. The difference between the highest and the lowest is 344%. I see that and I go, how in the world can this tell me that they understood what they were bidding on when there's that much disparity in the bid price? The independent estimate, by the way, was 522,000. Lowest bid price under the independent cost estimate, 64%. So it doesn't give me confidence in the estimate or in the specification. And it goes on. Every one of them is like that. The next item, the bids range from 36,000 to 194,000, a difference of 439%. Any kind of analysis, any element or component of this analysis that I'm going to look at, I want numbers to be theoretically within 10% if I'm to have a level of confidence in them. And when I see numbers that are 439%, lowest bid price item under the independent estimate, 58%, again, I want to see that 10%. Or an explanation or a revision in the estimate if that's necessary. I won't go through every single item, but I'll kind of skip to the end here where we get the total of the base bid. That's all the 70 items, all added together. And interestingly enough, lowest bid item price over, the highest over the lowest, 8.6% difference. So that's interesting. There, we got $24.4 million, $26.5 million, and $25.7 million. So everyone is right there around that $25 million. But the way they got there is through these 300, 205, percent differences. And, for them to all arrive at the same price, it's not the same one, the same bidder is low or high on different items. It's never the same one. Otherwise, the total bid price would be someone coming in at 17 and someone coming in at 27. So ordinarily, when you see the total come out that close, you'd say, I have confidence in the specification, they understood it. When I look back at the individual bid items and see these huge percentage difference item to item, I cannot conclude that there's an understanding of the bidders of the bid items. And when I look at that, and if I'm going to use that and say, yeah, they're all at 25, that's the number we have to strive for. We have to run out and get more money and spend 25. I have to validate the cost estimate somehow. The cost estimate is still at 17. And what changed? Is there a revised cost estimate? I know material prices, I shop at OD Green as much as anyone here, and prices keep going up and up and up. But do they go up to this percentage level to the point where it could not be foreseen in an estimate? To me, that's very unusual. And in my world, where the contract specialist would write this document, it would have to conclude with award at these prices is fair and reasonable and based upon just the numbers, objectively looking at numbers, nothing else, not looking at people, not even looking at the names of the firms, just 1, 2, and 3. I cannot conclude that it's a fair and reasonable price. And if someone submitted to me, I would return it and say it needs more work. You either have to redo the specifications or you have to redo the estimate or both. And that's my part of it.
Thanks.
Can I touch on that
Right.
just for a
Oh,
second?
I just had a couple questions first,
Okay, go
Mark, if you
ahead.
know.
I just want
um,
to touch on that.
no, it's fine.
Okay.
Um,
Because people have to understand the bid units and piping. Piping isn't,
so hold on, let me just ask a couple
Yeah.
questions. One thing, and I don't know if, I don't know enough about this type of work, right? But it doesn't
specialized,
seem,
and that's what I was gonna touch on.
I can clarify a lot of your questions.
Well, hold on, let me ask him first.
Yes.
So, but one of the things that comes to my mind when I look at that and I look at your analysis is they all came in pretty close at the end of the day, right? That 25 number-ish. Is there a strategic advantage for anybody to put more money over here,
Absolutely.
and less over here?
Absolutely. There's a few reasons for that. It's how your crew, what they're adept at. So you're gonna put all your money in what you do the fastest. Some guys are mainline, some guys are setting precast. It's really strategic. And another reason that the bids don't add up on unit pricing is you have 3 and 4, 5 major competitors in northern New York that's all they do is pipe. And they're not gonna lay their cards on the table so that everybody can see that unit pricing. They're gonna bury pricing in different spots so somebody can't copycat. That's an ongoing strategic thing that's been done for the last 100 years when it comes to pipeline. You're not gonna put all your, and if they found something in the bid documents, these estimators, that's all they do is pipe. They don't build schools, they don't build landfills, they do pipe. They do sewer and they do water, and that's all they do. And they know it inside and out. So if they find a spec or a flaw that may be a deduct, because those unit prices get deducted off in the contract as well. As Pat can well tell you, if there's a 1,000-foot shortage that gets changed from 4-inch to 3-inch or gets deleted or whatever, that comes off their contract bid. And if they found a discrepancy in the footage, they're not gonna bury all their money in where it's gonna be taken away, okay? And they're gonna put all their money in, like mobilization, which they're gonna put their money, because that's the first 30 to 60 to 90 days, depending upon billing and funding, how that works. So those crews are gonna be rallying and getting foot after foot after foot in on nothing. So the mobilization seems, $500,000 seems ridiculous to come down here, right? 4 pickup trucks and an office trailer. It's not. It's not, because they're gonna be shooting rock and having grinding machines, trenching machines in here from day one. As soon as they get the word of the contract, they're burning diesel fuel. So the reason is that when you look at pipeline over any other contract, the end result is what you look at. And they're always gonna be, the top 3 or 4 are gonna be within 6 to 8%. If somebody's really hungry and doesn't have work, there's gonna be a larger discrepancy because their profit's gonna be down around 3 to 4% gross, which is crazy. That's how the pipe world works. So it's the end result, and I can tell you right now, there's no grand delusions of grandeur from these pipe companies that they're gonna be making millions and millions of dollars. They bust their ass as fast as they can. You have to really control the quality because they're booting it in the ground as fast as they can possibly do it. Because every day they're over is a day they lose money. So on this particular, I really appreciate his evaluation. I completely understand it. And I know what you're looking at to try and make because I've done federal contracts. I ran a $13 million precast company and did nothing but federal work for 4 years. I understand it. Pipe is unique. You can't look at it like any other industry. It's unit pricing. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason other than the guy that controls the company puts the money where he wants it, where he needs it. So it's a little bit, this is a little bit tricky compared to any other.
And I appreciate that, Mark,
Yeah.
thanks. One of the risks I think we're up against right now is this whole meeting descending into madness, right? I mean, and I'm gonna try my best to not let that happen, but I wanna make sure that your guys' questions get
Yeah.
answered, based on what Roy had to say. So if either of you have anything,
I don't right now.
I also,
This one. So one thing you mentioned I find interesting is the 1,000-gallon tanks being, that should be an item that should be pretty standard, right?
They should all be.
Same there again. It's the guys that have done their due diligence know where the rock is and what they gotta hammer out.
But
They
this
know
is
how many are
just the
gonna-
tank. I don't think this is the installation of it.
It'll be a unit price.
I
So
think that's the,
it's all gonna depend.
Install?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, I think rock work is a separate item.
is a separate item. Okay.
It's another one that's in the items there.
So,
Because
Oh.
these are off by 68% if it's just the tank. So anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pat, I don't want you to be put on the spot, and I also don't want you to not have an opportunity to defend yourself or your process. So I'm gonna leave that up to you as far as how you want to, if you want to, I should say.
I will say a couple things.
Oh, you're welcome to. I think that's fair.
So I urge you to reread the email that I sent you last Thursday, because I addressed Mr. Navik's, generally speaking. I didn't go line by line like he did, but I will echo what Mark said. He hit it right on the head, and he has experience from a contractor point of view. I've seen it from an engineer point of view, exactly what he said about the strategic placement of money within unit price items. But the thing I want the board to take away from it, Mr. Navik said it as well as Mr. Jario said it, is that the bids were within 5.5% to 8%, whatever the number is, depends on how you do the math. But that's what, the contractors are always gonna end up where they want to end up on a total basis. You can't get refocused and spend too much energy trying to figure out why they bid certain unit prices, and let alone compare one to our estimate and then one to the other two bidders. You're not gonna find any commonalities, and that's just the way unit price bidding works. It's strategic, and they may have something up their sleeve that I'm not aware of. Like Mark said, if there's an ambiguity in a spec, they'll get money there. If the quantity's low, they'll put extra money there knowing that quantity's gonna double, and I'm gonna get paid handsomely for it. And that's what we use when we estimate projects, is previous bids with unit prices. But it's hard because of that disparity. So we look for averages and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. I don't, at this point, I apologize, but I'm gonna go at the end, I guess is what I'm saying, Gail. At the end of this sewer conversation, we'll have
That's fine.
room for comment. So, Mark, if you wanna,
How much time do I have?
well, Mark.
To be honest with you, to get through and explain everything, some of the technical detail would probably take an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've tried.
You don't have that much time.
I tried to condense it down to maybe 20 or 30 minutes, okay?
Okay.
But I do want to reiterate and set the record straight that, as a general consensus, I think this panel, we all want to see, a treatment system installed. I think we all agree that it's required, it's necessary, especially along certain parts of the Harbor Road and the hamlet of Henderson. But I do want to set the record straight that I'm not looking to sink the step system. In a previous meeting where Pat presented down at the community building, in fact, he did a great job. I told him so at the end, he did a good job explaining his justification for the design and the direction that he went. And I meant that. I was born and raised in this harbor, and I want to see a system, put in that protects the water that I swim in and that I drink out of. Okay, so just getting that out of the way. So much so that I've been spending a lot of my time, my evenings and weekends going through the contracts and looking through it. So I don't have the long pedigree that Roy has, but I'm a professional engineer. I worked for a consulting firm for 20 years doing water, wastewater treatment plants. I got a degree from Syracuse University in mechanical and environmental engineering. So although I may not be an expert, I was selected on this panel. But things have changed since then. When I talked to Pat and he explained it, I was convinced that this is probably the best, at least the best thing that we could afford, to get this project done. And next day I went home and signed my easement. So I'm not out to get it, okay? But things have changed since then. when I signed it, I was under the impression that the step system, you know, as it was designed, was the only thing we could afford, as I mentioned, and while keeping the sewer fee at the state's limit of, you know, $673 or someplace around there that we're allowed to charge for the fee. You know, however, now as we know, it went from 28 million to 40 million, and it's climbing, you know, as I'll get into later. The panel believes it's necessary to figure out a way to get figure out why the cost is so high at $107,000 a hookup, and what alternatives we might have. As you had mentioned, it's if we don't get the money, what are we going to do then? So the first thing the panel looked at, you know, was the bids, as Roy explained, and the life cycle cost analysis that compared the different collection systems and the different treatment options that we have. And keep in mind that they are independent of one another, all right? You can have one collection system and a completely different treatment system from what's been designed. They're independent. So GYMO, you know, evaluated the step system for the collection, a grinder pump system, and a vacuum collection system, okay? The grinders and the vacuum system, they were evaluated without the use of a septic tank, okay? The step septic tank effluent pump, okay? So you're taking essentially gray water and pumping it to the treatment plant. They evaluated the other two options as if they were raw sewage, okay? They evaluated for treatment systems an MBR. It's a membrane type, you know, treatment system, excellent system, have no issues there to treat the septic tank effluent. But they evaluated an SBR, which
I just make sure I'm got this right. So collection system, vacuum grinder, step, you're on to the
Yep.
treatment system.
Yep,
So there's
treatment,
membrane, MBR.
Yep.
Okay.
And then a sequence batch reactor. I'm not going to get into the details, haven't got anywhere near enough time for that. But that plant with a primary treatment requires an entire separate stage to remove, you know, what the septic tank would have, okay? Then they have to store it, treat it, and dispose of the solids, you know, that come out of that stage. And in addition, the SBR, it's an activated sludge plant. So you have to provide a lot of air to keep the bugs alive so that they can consume the organics, you know, from the wastewater. Very, very costly. And we have to have a solids holding tank and a digester and mixer pumps. And then on top of that, you have to have a tertiary treatment to treat the nitrogen, okay, before it went into Stony Creek because it's an intermittent flow stream. So all that equipment for the SBR is required to run 24/7, 365 days a year. And it's very, very costly to operate an SBR system. So let's review. I don't know if you guys have this or not, but this is the life cycle cost breakdown and copies. Should have handed them out before, save myself an extra 5 minutes. Sorry. Anybody else want one? Pass them around. All right, so that said, ignore the numbers, all right, and you know which options include grants and because the numbers aren't what we expected to begin with. I could probably phrase that a little bit differently, but it would offend people. So what do we see when you look at that? Just look at down the system type and the location. See anything that jumps out there? Well, I'll point it out to you. Every option has, you know, the collection system paired with a treatment system, with a treatment option. Now, why? Because they're completely independent. They should never have been paired. The problem is that they only paired the step collection system with the MBR treatment option. But the vacuum and the grinder systems, they paired with the SBR, which I already explained is extremely expensive. 2 additional steps of treatment before you get discharged to the stream.
Do you have any idea orders of magnitude between cost of SBR and MBR?
I do not right at this point.
On there.
Yeah, you can look, I guess, but he's got them combined with grant money, and he's not isolating the step or the collection system. He's got them paired.
No, they are.
No,
actually.
I think they are broken out though, right? There's a collection system cost. No, again, I recognize that these numbers are out of date
Well, he
presumably or
totals
something,
them
but
up.
they're at least.
Okay,
Yeah.
But it does break them
all right,
But it's
so,
$2 million more.
in light of these findings and the blown engineer's cost estimate, and the fact that now we have to extend the loan to 40 years to keep it under the $670+ requirement. That's why the panel believes that at this point, now that we have some time, it's important to review new options. All right.
Do you guys think, so you're saying, look at vacuum grinder and step again, look at MBR and versus SBR again?
So,
Okay.
well, I don't think there's any reason to look at the SBR. That's,
So I'm gonna ask a
Very-
real ignorant question.
yeah,
I think of, and this has been brought up at a couple of different meetings and stuff like that. I think of City Watertown, I think of Adams, like over by 81, you look
Yeah,
down, you
yeah,
see those, you know
that's
that,
the aeration system.
right, that's SBR.
It's an activated sludge
Okay.
plant. It's not an SBR. An SBR has 2 tanks. One's filling, the other one's treating, and then they decant.
But either way, I guess
It's-
that's expensive.
Yes, it's
All
very
that stuff is
expensive.
expensive. I was just always under the impression that the MBR was a much cheaper option, which I think is what you're saying here.
Operationally, yeah, and the quality of the water that you get out of it is pristine. It really is.
What,
I mean,
but does it treat solids?
Doesn't it have to? It does, because you're continuing to grow the organisms in it, and you do have to remove solids because there's still a lot of BOD and organics
But do
in the water.
you do an MBR system without the septic tank treatment?
No,
Okay,
no, you wouldn't.
okay.
So, at one point I saw a proposal to hire a cost estimator at the town's expense. I guarantee you, when Guymo was campaigning to provide engineering service for this job, they assured us that they had the experience, soup to nuts, to evaluate, design, supervise construction. Did they indicate that they were not capable of providing the cost estimate? I don't think so. I mean, how could they have completed the life cycle cost analysis if they couldn't estimate the different components of the project? All right, so I believe it was the town's expectation that an accurate cost estimate would have been provided with their lump sum contract. So either the design engineer would have been, they expected that he was familiar with the project and the contract pricing, would perform the estimate, or they'd have to hire a sub-consultant under their contract. That's how a lump sum works. I mean, engineers love them, I know. I mean, I was there. Beautiful thing about lump sum contracts is that if you're proficient at what you're doing, you know the project, you jump on it, and you produce the documents efficiently, and ahead of schedule. You add to your profit margin. Engineers love it. It's really preferred. Okay, but there's a risk for that. All right, if you have to redesign or fix things, it's on you. You know what? First goes that bigger boat that you wanted. That's out of the profit margin, right? Or the new car. And then you start to dig into your margin. And then if it's really gone south, you have to contact your professional liability insurance company. Or you have to go to your partners with your head hanging very low and say, we need to cut into our assets to cover the rest of this design. It's just the way it works. I mean, it's every bit of that design and a lump sum contract is on them. So, it's my understanding the county will not allow us to run the mains down Harbor Road. Okay. I got that from our interim highway supervisor that I talked to on Saturday. He was working and I was working on a Saturday. Luckily, it was crappy weather, so I didn't mind. But the county supervisor wants to give us the town, the Harbor Road, Route 123. Plus, I think it was $760,000. $68,000, I stand corrected. To take it off their hands, essentially. Sounds like a great deal, right? But in full disclosure, Jimmy Lawrence, the county highway supervisor, let Gary know that it's approximately $1 million per mile to rebuild that road. Okay, not all the road needs to be rebuilt, but the road is approximately 4 miles long. It's been needing repair forever. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times they've patched it, chipped it. It's deteriorated quite substantially. And I want to know, is that cost included in the budget for, repairs when we rip it up in areas that I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell that. Pat could probably chime in to tell us. But while looking over the design drawings, they have an X indicated on properties that have opted not to connect to the force main. They show the septic tank removal, they show the design for everything there, but they have an X, and then they have a note that says, all work associated with connection to the individual property to be omitted from construction unless ordered otherwise by the engineer, typical. So that, did the contractor include the connections in his bid? I don't have sufficient information to determine that, but maybe the low bidder didn't. I don't know. So whether they do or not, they should at least, and Gary pointed this out, they should at least connect, call it a stub out. So that in the event that property owner sells it, somebody else, says, well, geez, you know what? I don't necessarily want a septic field in my yard. I want to connect to it, that we can help tearing the road back up. Okay. And then the other thing that I didn't see there is it should include stub outs for at least a few for vacant or buildable lots, such as proposed by Pete Price. I mean, what's going to happen? He's on the other side of Route 3. All right. He sells a lot. All of a sudden they want to tie into the main. We should have stub outs so that can be done without tearing up the Route 3. I mean, or any place on, in the district. All right. So unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time to go through all of the different plots and profiles that are in the documents. So, where did I start? I started in my own backyard, right? Took a look at what was designed there. Now, my property, I recently, within the last 10 years, built a 3-bedroom house. Originally there was a guest house. So we kept the guest house, had to take the kitchen out because you can't have two houses on the same property. So, I was looking to see what they did there. The 3-bedroom house has a garbage disposal. So that would require a 1,250, you treat the garbage disposal as another bedroom, right? That would be a 1,250 gallon septic tank. It also has, the guest house, as I explained, that had an old steel tank on there, I don't know, 50 years. Every cottage along the water's probably got the same thing that the same contractor, installed 50, 60 years ago. So, that's a 2-bedroom house. So it seemed logical that they would keep the existing 1,250 gallon septic tank because it's brand new, tap into the distribution box and then take it over to the guest house and put the step system in there, right? So I looked at the documents and they've got them tearing out, emptying out the new concrete septic tank, but you've got to dispose of it and you've got to fill in and compact it and restore that ground. They're planning to take it out and then run down and connect, as they should have down at the guest house. I get it, one less tank to maintain, okay? But when I looked at the design for the step system, they specified 1,000 gallon tank for what, should be sized for a 6-bedroom home, 5 with a garbage disposal. Based on the Department of Health Appendix 75A, it should be a 1,750 gallon tank. Now, I'm not even going to talk anymore about that. But the other thing that I got thinking about is if they make it a continuous setup, my floor of my house is 3 feet above the floor of my cottage, my guest house. Do you know what's going to happen if the step system pump fails and I don't know it because it's over behind my guest house?
It's gonna be ugly.
So, yeah, all right. If the door's closed, it's going to keep creeping up it's going to flood my cottage with septic. I didn't get a warm and fuzzy about the design for my own house. It needs some look. I need to look in more detail at the rest of them. So we're currently, reconsidering design alternatives that might be more cost effective. The vacuum system, it doesn't require the additional storage, in the septic tank that, let me repeat that or rephrase that. The vacuum system takes it away, right? It vacuums it out once the sump is cleared, and it doesn't need the storage that the step system requires. So,
Can I ask, and
Yep.
there's centralized vacuums, not vacuums, pumps at everybody's house, right?
yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Is it
You have to have
vacuuming,
real estate for
For the vacuums, you're
Yeah.
saying?
or separate.
is it vacuuming solids?
So, no, we're vacuuming this.
So where do those go?
We're same place. They
So you
stay
still
in
have
the
a
septic
tank?
They stay in the septic tank. We want to keep apples to apples
Yeah,
in this evaluation, right? So, you would vacuum away the gray water just the same way that you would pump it, okay? So using the vacuum system, and again, I'm not saying it's the end all, I'm not saying it's the right, we need to do more investigation in it, to figure that out, but, with that system, I think there's a lot of money to be saved by people that built their house, say from 1980 on, that have a code compliant, concrete or plastic tank, that is gonna last. I mean, how many times do you tear out a concrete septic tank because it's worn out, right? I mean, it doesn't happen, not in my lifetime. So, I wonder, when I was looking at that, I asked if they had a survey of the existing system, the existing tanks, so that we could get an idea of how many were new, how many were the steel, tank. And they couldn't provide that. So, I wonder, did they ask the homeowners if they know anything about their treatment, their septic tank? But more importantly, did they ask how many bedrooms that they were sizing the septic tanks for? They didn't ask me, right? So I don't know if that's been done appropriately. All right, so while on the topic of septic tanks, anybody know where Orenco Manufacturing is?
I know the name.
It's in Oregon. Are we shipping plastic tanks full of air from Oregon to New York? And I ask that because Roth Tank, which is reputedly the strongest plastic tank made, is from Syracuse, and they have a manufacturing plant in Watertown. So what about keeping it local, right? I hope, Pat, you don't go to Roth Tank and look for any engineering service from them, because I don't think they'll be in favor of it. So I don't know if I kept it under half an hour or not.
You're doing fine.
Like I read, I'm good. I mean, that's what I've got prepared. There are a lot of other things that we'll discuss when I have more details in the future.
I appreciate it. Do either of you have a question?
I have a whole bunch of questions.
You gotta keep them to
I figured.
less than a half hour.
I'll be.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. real
Couple
quick.
things. Mark and Roy did a great job of summing up what the group has done, but I just want to reiterate, Mark and I talked at length over the weekend about the fact that this exchange of roads between County Route 123 and Military Road, to me, is a little short-sighted. I think it needs a lot more financial analysis, because the county is projected making this trade and giving us $768,000 in addition. And those of us in the highway department have looked at that, and we're not sure that $768,000 will cover the cost of the repairs that are needed right now, saying nothing about the sewer system. There's extensive culvert work and drainage work that has to be done. The pavement is a mess, and you've got constant water flowing off the hill down across 123. Every time it rains, and in the winter, it's a nightmare. We're concerned that $768,000 isn't gonna take care of what's there now, to say nothing of what's going in the future. And I asked Mark, I had a meeting with Jim Lawrence, the county highway superintendent, and he flat told me that he will not allow a sewer system to go down our road under the pavement. He said, use the shoulders, but not under the pavement. And it makes sense, because every time you have to make a repair or do anything, you're tearing up the road again. And I asked Mark if the drawings showed that every parcel has a stubbed off lateral at the property line. And he said he wasn't able to make that determination at that point. I don't know if he has since. Maybe Pat can answer that question. In my mind, it makes absolutely no sense to even consider putting a sewer line under Route 123, paving over it, without having a stubbed off lateral at every parcel property line, so that you can add to or do whatever you have to do without tearing up the road. And I think that holds true throughout the rest of the sewer district. They should be stubbed off at every parcel. So, and I don't know what the expense involved is. I don't know if Pat designed it that way or not, but I think I think it just makes common sense.
Understood, and I appreciate that.
I can tell you that there are only connections from the existing hookups that are planned, the EDUs that are planning to tie to it. They're designed, the ones that are opting out, they are designed, but again, there's the X that says, don't do anything for these property owners until you're told to. So again, I don't know if that's in the budget or not. I don't know if the contractors included those or not.
The topic of 123, I think, is a big one, and we've heard a lot about it in the last, the week or so. I think that since the county is made a resolution to they've done their part, right? And so I don't know why we don't know more about it, but we don't have any information here on it, and I don't know if we even have the ability to negotiate. Obviously, we don't have to take it. You can't make us take it. But I think that should be a topic of another conversation. And really what it comes down to, I think, is how much money we're talking about, right? I mean,
Well,
there's
that
a cost
and
benefit to
the
everything.
sewer's
so-
coming down the middle of the road right now, right? The current design has the pipe going down the
No,
middle.
it's off the,
No, it's off the side.
It's off
to the side.
Okay.
In most cases, off the side, with the exception, I think, areas where there are, critical easements that they
yeah,
don't.
there's a
expect
bridge, I
they're gonna
think,
get.
and, you know,
There's a few of them.
like that, yeah.
That go into the road.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of crossings, right? Every house.
Yeah.
On one side has to have a crossing if it's on the
Yeah.
opposite side. Any other thoughts, comments? I know you had some things.
Yeah, so a couple for Pat mainly. So do you remember the reasoning why you would have paired the step with the MBR versus an SBR and the other ones with an SBR?
So like Mark did a very good job explaining, the MBR is only handling effluent. That's why it's paired with the step system, because the step system drops out the solids. So all you're pumping and dealing with and treating is liquid effluent. So that makes the most sense that MBR is paired with the step.
So why would you not, use the vacuum system to pick up the gray water and send it to an MBR?
Because it's redundant, in my opinion, to have a step collection and then a vacuum system.
I'm not talking about having a step collection. I'm talking about having a vacuum system off of your primary tank, your septic tank.
So,
Sucking away.
so I'm gonna
Using
ask as a, somebody that doesn't understand this, but I know my tank has a few baffles in it that obviously just
Yeah.
let the effluent go out into my leach field. The step tank that we all saw the cutaway of and stuff has a little bit more of an elaborate system. I guess technically they function like baffles, but there's a way to separate the solids from that effluent. How does that work in a vacuum system? In other words, like,
Your septic tank continues to do what it did. Instead of sending it to the leach field, it sends it to either a step pump or.
but some other reservoir that
Yep.
takes that gray water
It's
on a float
basically
switch or something.
vacuum. When it fills up of float trips, there's always a vacuum.
Yeah, it opens up that one-way valve and-
And it pulls it away. The beautiful thing about that is your lines are empty, all right? Most of them are empty. There's a bit of a sawtooth design that's required, but your average burial depth for a step system, because it's always full, is 5 feet. The average burial depth for a vacuum system is 3 feet. Again, I'm not saying that it's gonna prove to be,
It's another
the end
option.
all.
Yeah.
I think most likely the right, option will include both. Areas along the harbor road that we can vacuum, great. There are extreme limits. There's a section across the harbor, Eastman Track. I think that's a perfect place to put in the step system because you're going uphill to the lateral. So it's not all or nothing. It's not all one, system.
Okay, thanks. I didn't mean to cut you off, Pat. I don't know if you had more to say or more to.
I thought it would have been a redundant system to have a septic tank and then another system, which is a vacuum system. Because the thing that concerns us with the vacuum system is Tori hit it on the head earlier by stating for the centralized pump station, because that vacuum can only go 28 feet. Every 28 feet vertically, you've got to pump that. When you're pumping that, you need property. You need a parcel of land to site a pump station and to park a couple. That wasn't readily evident. We did study vacuum. We theoretically showed locations on a map where a central pump station could be located, but we never went as far as trying to acquire property, because you would need to acquire, I can't remember, it was 2018, but I want to say 4 or 5 master pump stations, because when you got a delta elevation of 150 feet, theoretically, you've got to have 5 stations to collect that up, or else the vacuum system.
The way the district is laid out currently, I believe the vacuum system required 3 vacuum stations. But that's the way it's currently laid out, looking at options, different options for where the central vacuum station would go so it can reach the limits of the harbor road And then, I don't want to get into the details here, because we've got a lot of work to do to look at that, but, there are other options to treat the extreme limits of the district, where, we wouldn't need one central plant, one central treatment plant, and definitely not on Stony Creek.
Okay,
More questions?
go for it.
So in the design that you call them the stub outs, so do we have those for people who are choosing not to hook up? Is that part of the current costing?
No, so I'll address, because that's related to the X question that's shown through the drawings. So the purpose of why we showed the X, because the effort was completed by our team to design that system. We designed all the 413 connections. Out of that, roughly 360 signed those easements. Rather than delete that work, in the event that construction is ongoing and that homeowner changes hands or they change their mind and want to now sign the easement, I've got a drawing right there. I tell the contractor to remove that X, say this work is going to be part of your contract and you will be paid for that unit prices for the pipe, the step, everything that's shown within that X, you'll be paid in accordance with the unit prices that are already established in your bid.
But
So
is,
that-
like, even if they say, I'm not doing it, and we move forward, they don't have a stub out then?
Correct.
They don't. So that's becomes the issue. What you're talking about is then we've got Harbor Road and we're having to rip.
I'm
Harbor
not
Road
gonna
out.
argue that that's a terrible idea. I think that is a good idea,
What
just
do you think is a good idea?
having a stub out.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's-
yeah,
it's just
it's
a
just a
cost
costing
thing.
thing, right? No, I,
And
yeah, agree.
It isn't difficult to tap this line. It's a force main. We heard the representative that maintains the systems in Michigan. It's not a big deal. It's just like tapping a water main. And that happens all the time when a new house is built in the hamlet or wherever there's a water district. They gotta tap that water main. We gotta tap the force main. Yeah, that means you gotta go into the road. That's not an ideal situation, but that's why we were urging people to sign before construction.
Thank you for that. So are all the tanks 1,000 gallon?
No.
So there's
No,
bigger
and-
ones?
To respond to that, Mark asked, how do we get bedrooms? That data was available actually on the real property tax service. So we're able to hover over a property and get addresses, assessed value, tax parcel, but also number of bedrooms. Now, the commercials, every one of them got visited by our engineer. We had to count seats, we had to inside and out, bar seats, restaurant seats, do they have lodging, that type of thing. So every one of them got visited, but it would have been difficult to interview every individual owner. If we did come across owners, because we made site visits at every house, we had a team of engineers that tried to gather septic tank data. If they were there, they would quiz them, because we needed to show that drawing, that data on our drawings. If they weren't there, they poked around to try to come up with the best place of where that system is. And then we'd ask them about number of bedrooms and things like that. And then on top of that, our surveyors went out and collected survey data wherever they could locate septic tanks. And again, interaction with homeowners. The direction was gather as much information as you can. If somebody's there, find out where the electric comes from.
So what's a 1,000 gallon tank size for? How many bedrooms?
1, 2, or 3.
1, 2, or 3?
So we've got numerous residential tanks that are 1,250, even 1,500. There's some bigger places. And like Mark said, he had a bedroom for a garbage disposal. We're treated as if there's another bedroom there.
And last one, are the tanks shipping from Oregon?
Sorry?
Are the tanks shipping from Oregon?
Yes.
That's all my questions.
Okay.
Well, I have another one
Go ahead.
for Mark. So what are you guys planning on doing next? Are you gonna continue down that line of work? Are we looking?
No, I've contacted, the vendor of, a vacuum system, and we're reinvestigating what, they provided, with design changes. The workarounds from the limitations, as Pat mentioned, you can't lift more than 20. I wouldn't even, estimate that you could lift 28 feet, but, perfect vacuum on it is 32, but 28 feet's absolutely the limit that you can lift. But, so, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna try to lift up and over the end of the Harbor Road by the Mark Hopkins, that's 100 feet right there. That'd have to be pumped if we were gonna go over the hill, no doubt. But then again, you could go gravity and go the other way.
Well, I appreciate it in the feedback, and I'm sure we're gonna hear more, and I'm catch up with you guys at some point or other with other more specific questions. But I also want to say I appreciate everybody that participated in this to keeping it civil. I know we all care a lot about this. And I know that it's stressful, at least it is for me. So, and I'm sure it is for Pat. And I just, go ahead.
So there's a couple things that I'm not about to go against what you just said. We'll follow through with that and keep it orderly. But there's a couple things I wanted to
Sure.
add on with what Mark said. So the estimate, you're absolutely right. That was part of our contract, and we did do an estimate. But frankly, we knew there was an unstable economy, and I wanted to get somebody better than us. So I recommended to the board that you hire an independent firm to do an estimate. I know there was a cost to it, but it was a peace of mind thing, and I mean, I know our project costs were you remember, they were exponentially increasing. So there was uncertainty on our part, and I thought it would have been a good planning idea or exercise to go through.
All I'm saying is that you're right. If you didn't feel comfortable doing an estimate, you should have hired a sub-consultant, professional estimator to do that for you.
Okay, I'm gonna,
County Route 123. Related to the estimate, so it's interesting to hear $1 million a mile. When we first started with talking with Jimmy Lawrence, it was $300,000 a mile. So I used 3.3 miles, roughly $1 million. I remember having negotiated meetings where that was starting to be discussed. How much money can the town expect to get? And that was several years ago. So a bit of advice I would suggest is I agree, although we do have our bid, one of our bidders, two of them actually, had County Route 123 restoration of about $1 million. However, I try to get much more, if you could, from the county department, if you're gonna take.
well, look, the way I see it is, I don't know if Jim is on record saying $1 million a mile, but I'm hearing that, and I also know it's a 4-mile road. I don't know how much of it needs to be replaced, but I'm gonna say it's a couple miles or significantly repaired. So this 768 seems low to me.
100% agree.
So
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
on us,
I'd
right?
go
Like
back to the table and
that's
get
on
more
us,
out of
yep. And I've yet to see anything from them, so I apologize that I don't have more. But that's on us, and that's something
They
that,
did pass the resolution.
I know they did, but we don't have any, we haven't accepted it yet, right? So, and obviously if we are successful negotiating, it's gonna have to go back to them for them to approve that, so. We'll see, but that's on us, and I think that that's something that Gary can guide us in a little bit, so.
And I agree with what Gary said about the drainage. That portion of the road cost has not been discussed yet with the county. And I've heard ever since I've been involved.
When it's
here,
raining, it goes.
There's major drainage issues that.
Well, you come down in December,
It's been
January,
a thorn in
February.
the county side for my entire life.
That ice builds up that thick on it, when it freezes and thaws on it, so, there's an issue, we all know that. Anything else? I don't wanna
No.
shortchange you,
No,
okay,
it's good.
so I appreciate it, everybody.
Can I ask
Um,
one more thing, Agaimo, though? Because you sent us that huge email, you sent us the 8/8 invoice. Do you need us to approve anything else this evening for you to keep going on your path? Or-
No, Lindsay, I'm always caught in a catch-22. Dave asked me to prepare that column.
Yeah.
That's a very awkward
So that's a
column to
proactive
create.
column. Because I was
guess we could
confused
call
about the
it that.
column too. I would agree with you. I was
So
trying to
call it
figure,
awkward, but it's proactive. I'm not asking for authorization
Okay.
tonight right
Okay.
now. I was trying to gaze in a crystal ball a little.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay. So what the email I sent you with the 30, whatever, that's your prediction of the additional costs?
Yeah,
Okay,
based on
got it.
what we know right now.
What- Yeah,
And one thing we do know is that's dynamic.
okay, yep, agreed. Okay.
All right, I'm putting the sewer conversation to rest, for the,
We want to do quiet and let people leave to the.
No, but you allow
Yeah,
other people.
no, absolutely, yeah, you're right. Gail?
It's real fast. I just want to thank Roy and Mark for your group. I believe in Plan B and C, okay? We've needed sewer since Bryce was a corporal. I mean, here it is, and the costs keep going up and up and up and up and up. Pat, God bless you, and the town, we're there, we're lacking some funds. If the funds come in, they come in from wherever because it's been approved, and we got all these beautiful grant funds. They didn't come in December, is that what we're waiting for? Are we good to go with this project? The funds come in.
Are you asking?
I am.
Yeah, no, I said that to start this conversation.
all,
This
but-
is a, in
but I
my
think-
mind,
But I think.
in case rather than instead of.
No, and I believe in B and C and D, you know, we've gone this far. But I just want to thank everybody. I just want to ask that one question.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry if it wasn't clear when I said in case instead, rather than the instead of, so.
Thank you.
Ginger?
Yeah.
Just for clarity, Mark, Roy, Gary, Coleman, you're all doing this free of charge as community members. You are not charging $65 an hour,
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay, because that rumor's out there, it needs to be clarified loud and clear.
Yeah.
You're doing this from the bottom of your heart for the good of our community.
Correct.
When we started, Dave said, that we would probably be paid $65 per meeting in accordance with board salaries. But we're not getting paid any, zero.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, now, no more. Sewer. Next on the agenda is comprehensive plan update. Tori and myself have had a few meetings, getting this comprehensive plan, organized, with the county. We have 2 planners from the county helping and a couple other people. August 29th. Do you remember what time? I apologize, I don't remember time.
It's somewhere earlier.
I think it's from 5 to 7 or 6.
Yes,
Oh, it's
Yeah.
5 to 7.
At the community room, there's an open session to start to solicit feedback, input from the community. We want everybody to be there. We want you to bring your friends, but it's the early stages of crafting this comprehensive plan. You know, what do we want our town to look like for the next 10, 15 years? So that's on the 29th. That's the Thursday before Labor Day weekend. So we kind of targeted that before people start to leave. There should be a lot of people in town. There's been some flyers circulated, but spread the word as much as you can. So,
That's the survey, right?
well, there's a survey associated with it.
Okay, so if you go to visithendersonharbor.com, there's a button.
Yep. It's also on the town's website. It's also on Facebook.
Push the button.
That's a survey that the county is started, but there'll be more information gathering and presented at that meeting at the community room. While we're on that, and this is more for us, just briefly, we have to sign a waiver or some sort of permission to use that room. Have we ever done that, or do we have to do
The
that?
community room?
Yeah.
I can do that because you'd rent it from Eric for.
Okay, I just didn't know the policy on it and the procedure. I don't think we have to pay anything because it's us, but there was still some sort of certificate, and I just didn't feel comfortable signing it without
I'll do it.
how that works. Okay. If you want to, so just, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've done it
that
before,
night.
so.
Okay. That's it, unless you have anything else on the
No.
comp plan. Okay.
I want
Speed,
people to show up.
yeah, so show up. Thanks,
Thanks,
Pat.
Pat. This is me.
All right, speed,
We gotta do the nepotism.
no, I just want to get to the more
All right,
contentious
fine.
things first.
All right, speed limit, this is New York 178. There was a request, it's coming out of the Hamlet to Route 3, that the speed limit be lowered. I have been in contact with Brian, REAP from the DOT. He said that that is not our road. So it's a state road.
Right.
And so he is going through the process of evaluating if we can reduce the speed. So if we want to reduce, I did get some feedback from other people. I got Danley Road feedback, but if it's our road, we have the ability, and he told me the process to reduce the speed. So we do have the ability to do that if there is concerns. If it's our road. If it's the state road, it's completely out of
That's
our
up to
hands.
them,
Like, we can ask them to do an evaluation, but that's it.
So.
So they're gonna evaluate that.
Stoplight, we couldn't at state.
Yeah, the whole thing there, right.
Okay.
We have next.
And next up is the next
Oh.
military road update.
Do you have any update from them at all?
I do, I spoke with 2 lawyers, not from Nexam,
Oh,
nothing on them, they say it works fine, it
Okay.
does work fine. However, what they're doing is illegal, and I talked to 2 lawyers, and what they said I need to do is have, Eric flag it and have the engineer and,
I don't know what you're talking about.
well, you can call the town lawyer, because I talked to 2 lawyers.
But just for my benefit, because I really don't know.
I
Are
don't
we
know
ta-
what flagging it means either.
No, but are we talking about the drainage issue,
The
like
drainage
specifically?
issue.
Okay, that's what I want to make
Oh,
sure.
I'm sorry,
Yep,
that's the
yep,
drainage
yep.
And the town engineer, they would come out and look at it, and they need to contact the town lawyer and let him know what's going on. Maybe he can clarify it, because again, I talked to a couple of lawyers.
you're saying, but private lawyer said it's a zoning violation, is what you're,
2 lawyers.
yeah.
You're not allowed to drain your property onto someone else's property. So when that area was developed, and that road was put in, there was a natural, call it like a pond formation, I'm sure it has a more technical name, but there's a west pond, and every spring, it looks like a little pond, and it goes away. When Nexam came in to build, it interfered with where they're putting, and they put in a drain, and that drain goes with our private road. Last winter, there were times when I couldn't drive through because the water was coming over the road. So we have drains in that road, but it was more to balance when that natural occurrence occurred. It's not meant
For
to be a
that,
drain.
yeah. So at this point, what do you need from the town?
So I need to get with Eric, I'll call and get that definition, I need to get with Pat, I was hoping, I thought he was gonna leave. And they need to come out and look at it, Pat probably knows, and there's also probably saying it wrong, a speedies permit
Yeah.
that should have been done.
What are these, speedies or a SWIFT?
State pollution and.
But they're not generating anything.
Discharge.
Has something to do with the drainage, he said a speedies.
Yeah.
Okay, speedies.
Wouldn't it be a SWIFT?
I said, I don't know, I said, Eric, and we did look at the map to see if there was anything, but I don't know.
Okay.
Stuff.
Okay.
That should have been done, if it's not, that's another issue, but that's for the lawyers.
Can you guys get together tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if flag it means either, so I apologize.
Well, this is the first time I've heard,
Yeah.
well, no, it's not the first time I've heard of. Okay, I agree, there's water running from their property next to them, under, not their road, but, well, your right of way, all right? And from there, over to the next property owner. And eventually, I mean, that culvert was there before Nexam did any work. Now, I also was told by the town fellows, they did go out and look and said, complained that the culvert was partially plugged, okay?
It's a private road, and yes, it gets plugged because there is you can stand, I have pictures, you can stand there when that water, and you can see it pouring out. So with it is carrying all the debris that's in the way, and yes, it gets plugged,
No,
because
no,
you
I
have to
know
keep
that.
unplugging it, which,
It appears as though the road somewhat dips there too. Whatever.
it's a private road.
Yeah, it is.
So I
It
think,
belongs
so
to,
you're gonna connect with him, right? That's the first step for the flooding issue, right?
I have connected with him, now he needs to do whatever this flagging is, he'll have to talk to your town lawyer.
I'm not sure what
Definition.
flag means.
I don't
mean,
Do you have any,
I don't think it has anything to do with zoning.
any like correspondence or anything like that? Or is there a way that maybe he can get in touch with them? Just, I don't know if he knows what flagging is. I'm thinking about
I don't know.
delineating, but,
Yeah, he can call he can call Mr. Burrows.
okay,
I paid for the lawyer I talked to.
okay,
They said to contact the town lawyer.
okay. Okay.
So, you
I
can call
mean-
and ask them what it means.
She has, the property owners have a right of way, okay? This property that this culvert is on belongs to Paul Levy.
The road.
Yeah, that portion of the road belongs to Aldi. I honestly don't know. You have a right of way, but I don't know if you have standing.
We have, I have to get out my deed, but yes, we're
Well, no, I
responsible
mean-
for, we are, what it says on my part of the deed. My
Looks like
deed.
it's going to me.
I'm responsible for maintaining and helping keeping that road open. So that's what it says. So we gravel it, we plow it, we mow it, we do everything to keep that road open. That's my responsibility.
So, as a general rule, I don't think it's up to us to get involved with neighbor disputes and things like that,
I'm the chair to
right?
do what,
No, and I get that, but to the extent that there's a violation of either their site plan, that's where I think we would get involved.
right, that's, I
So-
And that's what you're asking, 'cause I think that's what we looked at.
they look at
Before.
whatever, again, I didn't
Yeah.
go down those things. I just said, what do I do? What are my rights? Where do I stand?
So there's flooding, that's one issue. So I guess we're gonna need to figure out what we do as far as contacting Jim.
I understand the problem. I believe it could be quickly repaired and fixed. Okay, it's just a matter of who's gonna do it. I would dare say this is between two individuals and the town is not included. I
I don't think you're understanding.
there,
Let-
as far as the
I'll
zoning
call the lawyer and
violation,
try to get better.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know of any pond that was filled in. I don't know.
So
how big
if
that
you could
pond
get me
was.
some better definition of what he's asking to do, then I can take that and move forward and I can connect with you. The other issues we've got, so the other residents have said, there's grass growing up, there's weeds in between the trees, there's a dead tree, there's a sign knocked down. I have sent them all, I've talked to them several times, sent them pictures. They said, as far as the weeds growing around the trees, they're working on it. The dead tree, they asked me to send a second picture, which I just did, and this is the part that I'll just say didn't make me happy. When I asked about the mowing, they said is there a town ordinance for this? And so, I need to catch up with Kenny to see if, I don't know if we can look at the site plan or if there's any documents you guys had that would,
Again, I wasn't on the planning board at the time, so it'd have to be pulled out of the archives.
okay,
I thought there was something about them.
Maintaining it.
yeah, the
There was
maintenance.
something about them maintaining it as
Remember the
well.
whole conversation about the sheep and stuff like that?
Well, they were here with the
They
sheep.
talked about there last year.
Yeah, there's no sheep this year, but I keep looking for the sheep.
There
So,
were two large fox trunks there last Thursday or Friday.
all right, so I need to look to see if we have any documentation to support us and that they're supposed to do some level of maintenance so they can address these things quicker. So that's the update. But will continue to work with them.
Okay,
And they, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
as far as I know, they still have, it's still not live.
Oh, they did say that the earliest they think it's gonna happen is 11.
Right in time for the grayness of, winter. All right, anything else on that?
No.
All right, so keeping with, next sample, I guess vaguely, we'll talk about the Gilman Road Development Agreement follow-up. This I think was a little bit of a policy question on our end. For those of you that don't recall, we had incurred some expenses, mostly from engineering through GIMO to review the Gilman Road Solar Project, which is now kind of defunct. I mean, that law that we passed, back in, I don't know, July or June, whatever it was, you know.
Zoning changes.
Sorry, yeah. And I don't know where we stand on it right now. I think that at one point we were gonna have a conversation with Mary, but I don't know if that happened. Dave was talking about that. Anybody have anything
So
to?
no, mine is from the July meeting, add development agreement discussion to August meeting. So how did Gilman Road happen? The 4.9K spent of the 15K. Check to see if there's a development agreement for Gilman Road.
Yeah,
Mary. So Ed was gonna follow up. I don't know if you got a chance, if there's any development agreement that was ever signed by the town and Gilman Road? Do we know?
I don't know, we had to pull the.
Okay, so we still need to-
paperwork up see what's there.
Yeah, can we
Okay.
pull that paperwork and see?
but just to kind of look at it again from a learning experience and trying to
process?
make sure we don't make that mistake again. I think it's important that before anything goes to most likely GIMO, but also the attorney, we make sure that agreement's in place. So I think we all need to be aware of that, and Mary's boards do as well, so.
Agreed.
Boat launch. So we got an email, which I think I can read it. I'll just summarize it. Basically, an email saying that at the boat launch, there's weeds, trash, and pet waste. And I think you guys, this is before my time, had approved
We
something,
had
right?
approved that, Ed was supposed to do that, we had definitely approved
The pet
having
station, right?
pet stations with
Yeah,
the bags, et
yeah,
cetera.
those pedestals, like they have
We
a
voted for 2 of them.
Yeah, with the
garbage.
bags.
So I
But
just wanna look at
that's
that
already
and
been
just,
voted, agreed upon, and
I don't know, they gotta go mount it in a concrete or something, I would imagine.
we were
And,
gonna have trash cans that couldn't get taken away.
yeah. I don't know what the thoughts are on that, trash cans and pot waste, but
We had them there once and then it was a mess.
just constantly fill it up.
We had the
Not the bad thing, the garbage cans.
I don't know what you do with the pot waste stations without the garbage cans, though. Otherwise you're just,
Well, they come with a garbage
They come with a
can.
little garbage can.
I mean,
oh, they come with a can itself?
Yeah.
Wanna keep
Well,
it back in
Whaley's
the bag.
has it, I mean, and
They
have
have a station, yes.
yeah, and it works well.
And then a little hole that goes in.
Okay, so somebody at Whaley's must go around and empty that receptacle?
yeah.
What, is there something stopping people from putting garbage in that, or is it just it's small enough, like?
It's just for.
It's a small can.
I mean, is it small enough like that people could still put a can through?
They could.
You can.
I know that people probably don't read.
'Cause you're
it. We have
thinking
signs
we don't
down
have
there that
trash.
says you're supposed to take out your own trash.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured it.
But if,
Yeah, but-
what you're saying is if you've got the pet thing, they're gonna shove it in there probably.
But
Yeah.
I do agree we should have something,
Yeah.
especially with the pets. You see a lot more pets out there, so.
Yeah.
Let's start with the pets. I don't know about the weeds, like the,
Well, some of that stuff you gotta be careful, right? You're next to the water.
Yeah, you don't wanna
wanna
spray anything, right.
So, I think we should look at those stations. I don't know if here you can
You
just,
talk about the weeds, so.
yeah,
no, we're talking for pet, like the pet.
well, and
And
weeds.
weeds,
Yeah.
and weeds.
Just so you know, Al and the guys have been doing some research, and there's a completely safe mixture that you can put together. It's vinegar, Dawn, soap, and what's the other?
Salt, I use it. It kills everything.
You don't even need all that, just, there's that vinegar, I use it on my driveway. That's all you need.
Really?
Home Depot.
You mix it up and put it in a sprayer, and it kills the weeds. And the guys have been doing it, and I think it's worked.
And it's working, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can
They
spray it
went
down
down
there.
and cleaned up all the weeds and the seaweed that's washed in, and everything else looks good. It was mowed nice, the flowers are all blooming, and like I said, the weeds.
This is
are-
back from the email beginning of July, so it might be old,
Yeah, I
the
think
news
it
on
was-
that.
The only thing, 2 weeks ago, there was a dead deer right on the side of the driveway going down to the boat launch on a Saturday, and it was loaded with people. I think it was, I forgot, I think it was Christmas in July weekend.
Oh,
Yes.
And, so the guys had all that, it was starting to load up pretty good.
Yeah,
But I think the boat launch looks really nice.
okay.
Everything about it looks good. And, I think that homebrew weed killer.
as long as it's compliant with whatever regulations
Well,
you.
it's gotta be safe for the animals, so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, any other thoughts on the boat launch?
Are we doing the pet things?
We had already approved it, it had already been in a budget for us, so I think we
Yeah.
can buy 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, you wanna look into that? See what, there's stainless kiosks with the,
I don't know if they're stainless or not.
maybe they're not.
Painted.
Are they painted?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of vendors. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, the plastic bags, they charge you an arm and a leg for them.
In the regular.
Yeah, we'll just have to, whatever comes.
They actually make biodegradable ones too. That's the
They do.
ones I use.
The green
You
ones.
gotta be careful with outdoor ones, with biodegradable, because that's what happens, and then you pick it up.
Oh, I know. I learned.
Gotta be careful with those.
That's what I learned.
Yeah, that was a great idea until I.
I don't wanna see that image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can buy it.
So, all right, no, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's, my
Um,
bird is leaving.
so nepotism?
Yep.
Okay,
All right, so I'm making do I make a motion?
you can make a motion.
Okay. To adopt the resolution for nepotism, you want me to read it again?
Yeah, Yeah, just for the sake of.
Whereas the Town of Henderson Code of Ethics does not include language about nepotism, whereas nepotism can lead to favoritism, employee dissatisfaction, poor leadership, and career path obstacles. Now therefore, it be hereby resolved that the Town of Henderson will add the following language to the Code of Ethics. Nepotism, he or she shall not participate in any decision or hire, promote, discipline, or discharge a relative. He or she shall not directly or indirectly supervise a relative or participate in a vote that would award a contract or invest state funds in a business in which a relative has an interest. And then we need to add to it the definition of a relative, which is a relative is defined as any person living in the same household as the officer or employee of the Town of Henderson, or any person who is a direct descendant of the Town of Henderson officer and employee. And that's the language directly out of the state reg. So,
Do I have a motion?
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wendy, do you want the relative definition too? I circled it for you.
So we'll go to board and public comments last thing. I'm just gonna start by saying, thanks for bearing with me. And secondly, I think we're all, kind of entering into some uncharted territory. So bear with us as we move forward. We're gonna do our best, but, I can't promise there won't be some missteps along the way. I think we all have our hands full. I'm gonna take this opportunity again to thank Ed for his years of service, and we're gonna have to kind of buckle together and make the most of what we can do here. So just bear with us a little bit as we navigate this.
So I think, just to speak that, I think it's obviously a huge hole, critical position to fill. We should probably think about, we're gonna have to appoint someone again. So we should probably do the same process that we followed for the highway supervisor.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the process. I think we'll have to do some research there and see, but yeah, we should talk, and to that end, if that's something that we do have to do and do decide, it's gonna be another special meeting or something coming up. And I think, I don't know if we're
Well,
gonna
it would
ask or
be
canvas or how that works, but I
He's a
don't.
stun gun. I mean, I worked on Gary.
Watch out, I know where you live.
I think we need to consult, obviously, Catherine or Jim to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the same process we would follow. So we would have to post that like we did for the highway supervisor job. Anyone in the town can apply, and then we would make the appointments.
So I guess, yeah, so keep your eyes out, because
It's
it's
gonna-
probably something that we're gonna be doing and moving on, so. I just don't wanna commit to anything, because I don't know enough about it.
No, I need to confirm that. I'll confirm the process and let you guys know, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
You have anything to say? Okay. Any comments from the public?
I just want to say that I hope going forward that you guys have learned lessons from the past 6 months. The lack of professionalism that I've been observing, I think has contributed to a lot of the issues that are going on. And remember that you are all a team, and that you need to be respecting and be respectful of each other's opinions. Because otherwise, you're just going to continue to push people away, and we need a town board to help manage our town. So just please remember that, because that's not what's being observed.
Anyone else? Ally?
As a follow-up to that, Lindsay, I want to thank you for your professionalism tonight. Obviously, some constituents did not take their happy pill before they came, and frankly, were unnecessarily rude. And you're a better woman than I for your patience
Thank you.
and your professionalism. Kudos.
Thank you.
Anything else? Ginger?
Yeah, so I just want to get this straight with the payment tonight to Gymo and Municipal Solutions. We are now I have the spreadsheet from Gymo that was provided to you from Donna Martell, the bookkeeper. With this $38,368, we are at $1.948521 million. Okay? Now, my understanding is that Gymo has more on the table for next month for invoicing. Is that over and above the $24,000 that the town board voted on?
It will be the $24,000.
It will be.
That's what it will be.
Or
Okay.
20. It looked like it
Yeah,
was
sorry,
20,
it's a
but-
little, it's 20.
20, he said.
And one something for municipal
Okay.
solutions.
And then we haven't approved, because that's what I asked tonight, is I asked, do you need approval for anything else? And he said no. So that's what's approved to date.
Okay, because that's almost $2 million. And like Mark had said, the hookups for this current sewer system, septic tank system is $107,000 per unit.
Per connection, I think was his number, yeah.
We can't afford that. I mean,
Well,
it's,
I don't disagree that that's a tremendous amount of money, but don't forget that our goal, and I'll maintain my position on it at least, is to not to exceed the comptroller's threshold, which is six.
$694,
There you go. Thank you.
right?
So whether it's a $10,000 per hookup or $100,000 per hookup, it's $694 per year per household.
Right now, but that will only increase. That was like guaranteed for the first 2 years, and then it will go up gradually.
Well, it's, yeah, and it should, right? It should, just like our water rates should,
With
because
inflation.
cost of everything goes up, so.
Right.
But our goal will be to, as Tori said, tie that to some sort of actual accounting measure that tracks, the cost of the diesel fuel and the maintenance on the stuff to run the system, right? So trucks, maybe they're not even diesel, but we're gonna be pumping, stuff like that, so.
How many more times will the panel meet, or are they meeting now? How many meetings?
When we need to.
Yeah, we haven't dictated
I think
anything.
we are, getting together by teams, and if we need to meet here or someplace else, we will. But, yeah, when we've got information that's come in that we need to discuss and figure out what we're gonna do with it, we meet, so.
And do you have the ability, you're looking at the designs and things we've already paid for?
Yep.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Appreciate it.
Grayson?
We're also looking at combination designs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw your hand.
Are you calling me? I just want to also thank Lindsay and Matt. Your work on the board is not going unnoticed, and change isn't easy or comfortable all the time for everybody. But it's been refreshing to see more responsiveness from board members and concern for trying to do things the right way rather than just the expedient way. So thank you.
Good job today.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did great. You did great.
It's not over yet.
One more echo, because contrary to what was said before, I think the respect from everybody has been greater in the last 6 months than it was all of the previous couple of years, in my experience. So I appreciate the fact that we're all being respectful of each other.
Well, I appreciate the comments, and I also appreciate the diversity in the room, right? I mean, that's, at the end of the day, we all have those things that we think are important and those things that we hold near and dear to ourselves, and
And
I-
best intentions in mind.
yeah, and best intentions. And I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I know that at least from my point of view, it's important to promote that and encourage that. And for everybody should have a voice, right? Everybody should be able to speak their mind, and everybody should, whether you agree or disagree or feel something different, we all matter, right? And it's all important what everybody has to say. So this full room is nice, right? Because
This was a great example. I mean, we talked about the sewer stuff. Everybody has different opinions about the sewer. Super
Yeah.
professional, like tons of information shared. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and I've always said that the more feedback we get, right, the easier our jobs become. Because the last thing I think any of us want to do, myself definitely, is be making these decisions in a vacuum and stuff. So we're here to represent you. It sounds stupid, but that's the way it is, right? So I appreciate the feedback, and I'm sure the rest of the group does as well. So thank you.
I'm just curious, did you guys know that Ed was,
I'm starting to wonder if everyone else did, because there's a lot of people here, but I didn't know. So I did not know. So. Yeah. So, but again, I think it's obviously a sensitive thing, and I hope that we can all be respectful of that and still member of this community. And he's done a lot for the town. So, he deserves a round of applause, that he got. So we're good there. So, all right. Anything else? I'll make a motion to end the meeting.
I'll second.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Mark, can you end the session, please?
And straight.
The straight and narrow.